Hello, this is Dr. Dennis Bielfeldt, and I am a faculty member of the Christ School of Theology and the president of it as well, I guess. And I am here today to give you a primer in medieval semantics. Now you're saying, wow, I didn't know I needed a primer in medieval semantics. I'm here to tell you, you need to hear this because this is important if we're going to actually understand what's going on in a lot of these late medieval texts, and easily and as well for Luther. Okay? One of the things I've delved into over the years is I've tried to read Luther with eyes that know some of the philosophical background here. And if you read Luther with some of those eyes, you start to see some very interesting things happening in the text. So I want to talk to you today about medieval semantic theory. We're going to be talking about the so-called property of terms, okay? And we have basically two traditions. When we think of the Oxford tradition, I want you to think of William of Sherwood, right? And the central notions are significatio, okay, significatio, suppositio, and of course, this is very important, a very, very important notion. These two notions are very, very important to understand what's going on. They're the two primary notions. Copulatio and appellatio. Well, you can see copulation and appellation, or to call a thing a thing. And over here, so this is Oxford, Paris, and we have the Lambert of Lagny. He certainly, appellatio, he holds to this one. Suppositio, he holds to this one. Restrictio, distributio, and relatio. So these are new. Copulatio falls by the side. Significatio is not as important anymore. But what we do have is restrictio, relatio, and distributio. Now, I'm just putting these on the board just to show you how complicated this is, because we're not actually going to go and do an analysis of all of these things. We're going to be talking more about the Oxford, I guess, model, and we will be talking about all these notions to the left. Okay? Now, as we go forward, we have to remember the influence of our good friend Boethius. Right? He died in 525, but his thought lives on. He has a very famous phrase that is this: ipse quidem secundum se dicta nomine sunt et significant aliquid constitutit enim qui dicit intellectum et qui audit quiescit. Does anybody want me to translate that? Okay, what he's saying is that, in fact, those words spoken in isolation are names and they signify something. Okay, a word spoken in isolation. If I say the word sheep, it's a name, it signifies something. You're all thinking of little sheep. They establish in the one who speaks an understanding, and in which the one who listens rests. Okay, so there's an understanding. When I use the word sheep, I'm thinking of a sheep. There's an understanding in me. You out there are hearing the word sheep, and you're resting in the same understanding that I have. So a central property of a term is its significatio, right? And this significatio is a property of a term. It's a psychological and causal property of a term. It has to do with what I think about, and then when I say it, what you think about. medieval thinkers tend to accept this understanding of significatio, and it causes great mischief in medieval semantic theory, but it does descend from antiquity. So the infinitive here, significare, a term has significates. Okay. The significatio is the word's natural meaning. It's there on the occasion of every one of its use. It is a natural property of a term. It is its essentia or its forma. It's the essentia and forma of the word at the root of every actual meaning as the word is used. Okay? Now, logicians of the period tended to distinguish words significant in their own right, which are termini significativi or significantes, from terms significant when joined with others. This would be termini consignificativi or consignificantes. All right? So this is the origin of the distinction between the categorematic terms and the syncategorematic terms. And we'll be talking about the categorematic terms here. These are the terms that we would find in our logic, like a term like sheep, hog, white. The syncategorematic terms have to do with the logical apparatus itself, okay? And we won't be talking about that in this period, in this lecture. Okay, now when we talk about significatio, we end up talking about substantia. Oops. The substantia is that which a nomen, a name signifies. It's substantia, and the qualitas, the quality that the substantia has. The substantia has a proprietas subsistendi, a property of sustaining itself. See? You're thinking, oh, it's a little like Descartes. Oh, it's a little like Aristotle. All right, good. The substantia has a property of sustaining itself. It is quod suscipit formam. It is that which sustains the form. Okay? So the substantia has the property of sustaining its form. The substantia is an individual, and the qualitas is the thing's nature, right? Which then can itself designate the class of things to which the substantia belongs. The substantia is identified with the subject of discourse by the medieval semanticists here. And the subject of discourse is id de quo sermo habetur. The subject of discourse is that by which the word is had. In the 12th century, William of Champeau, of course the great realist, says that significare, to significare a substantium, to significate a substance, is to supponere it. And there we find the important use of supponere, which is going to become very important as we go forward here, supposition theory. So I'll be right back with you. This is a first of the lecture, our little primer in medieval semantic theory. I'll be right back. Thank you. Dr. Dennis Bielfeldt here from the Institute of Lutheran Theology.